something pretty special.
Some days are the best, some days are the ball. Just a complete coward move.
That's a chicken move right there.
Something you couldn't have expected, but was always a possibility. Jeff Gordon looking for a storybook ending. This win's going to punch his ticket to the championship four.
Yeah, baby! Yeah, you're the Homestead! Yeah! That's what you say!
The round of 8 kicks off at Martinsville. Sprint Cup Series practice about to get underway from the paperclip. Take a look at the chase grid. Now there are just 8, and quite possibly the best 8 in history as far as going for a championship. It will be a stout 3 races before we get to the championship 4. A lot of the experts and professionals in this sport are saying that it's going to take a win by one of the 8 drivers to be able to advance to Miami. But of course, there will be one driver that will be able to get in based upon points. But it all starts right here at Martinsville. This is a racetrack where 2 drivers jump out as being exceptional. One of them we were just riding along with, the 11 of Denny Hamlin, the other one, Jimmy Johnson. Great records at this racetrack. Coming into the race, probably the 2 favorites, but you can't look past the other 6 drivers that are still in the round of 8. 8 drivers all trying to advance and make it into the championship 4 like we saw Jeff Gordon do a year ago. He won at this racetrack, guaranteeing him a spot in the championship 4.
Yeah, Rick, I think the big story right now, even though we have the chase and we have these 8 guys trying to move forward, is the racetrack. For years, we've been coming here, and Steve, I don't ever remember walking in the gate on Friday morning at Martinsville and seeing the rubber stacked up on the racetrack like we have right now. I think I talked to several crew chiefs this morning and confused them. Everybody's wondering, what is this rubber from? Where did it come from? How's it going to affect the race cars? And a little surprised to see the 41, the first car on the racetrack. I would have thought they might let some other cars go first.
What is it from? There was a test here. I know that they had put a chemical down on the track. Is it a combination of that and potentially that there hasn't been a lot of rain in the area?
Well, there was a late model race here as well a few weeks back, so and you don't know if it. I think that's the question. No one knows. No one really knows, because there was some stories that before the late model race there was already some rubber on the racetrack, some discoloration. So it'll be interesting to see what the speed of the track is. The rumors or what the crew chiefs are thinking is that the track was actually a little slow in those test sessions.
Yeah, that's what we heard from the there was 1 week where there was a Cup test, a Cup Goodyear test, and then 2 days later there was a late model test, and then the next weekend there was a late model race. But the rumor was that the Cup test, the track was slower than everybody thought it would have been. Marty, have you heard something?
Well, and it's funny because there were 90 late model cars here for that test that you mentioned, Jeff. 70 in that race. It was a 200-lap race they ran for 2 days here. But they've done a lot to the racetrack since then. They've washed it, they've blown it off, they've done a little bit of everything. And I talked to Tony Gibson, Kurt Busch's crew chief, about it. He said, I've never seen this much rubber, exactly what you guys said, on the racetrack for us to start. So he said, I had no idea what to expect in these first couple runs. Steve, you know, as a crew chief, usually your first, couple runs at least, your first 30 minutes of practice or so are kind of a waste here because it takes a while for the track to come in. So the teams are very interested to see how this is going to affect the early practice. And most all the teams down here in qualifying trim, so they'll run 2 and 3 laps at a time, and that's it. But the track's certainly way different than we've ever seen it here at Martinsville.
Well, I'd go even farther and say that it's not just the first 30 minutes of practice that doesn't help you a whole lot. I think the reason we start to see so many winners, Jeff, time after time after time, the same cars being consistently fast, consistently go to victory lane, is because you can about throw away all the practice. The race here is just so much different.
It's way different. We saw Kurt Busch, he only ran 2 laps. I don't know if he decided, hey, the racetrack just isn't where we needed to be and quit early, but he ran just for reference, he ran a 2020. The pole here in the spring was fast time in practice in the spring was a 1948. So a huge difference in speed. Right now, fast time is a 1995. So you can see already the track's going to get better. It's going to get faster. It's going to get this rubber laid down on it and will become more relevant than what it's going to be on Sunday. But right now, there's more questions than there are answers with the racetrack.
I think I said it a year ago. This will be the final time Jeff Gordon will race at Martinsville. And I was wrong last year because now he's subbing for Dale Earnhardt Jr., once again, who will not be racing the remainder of the season, but will be joining us in the booth on Sunday for the Cup Series race. But Jeff Gordon once again on the track. Could Jeff Gordon be the spoiler? I know that that's going to continue to be thrown up as far as the term who will be a spoiler for the chase drivers. There's 8 drivers that are phenomenal, obviously, at this racetrack. But guys who are eliminated, like Brad Keselowski or Chase Elliott or Martin Truex Jr., could they become spoilers to these chase drivers trying to advance into the championship four? One of the spoilers could be Jeff Gordon.
They absolutely have an opportunity, but when I look at this field of 8, I really believe the next 3 races will all be won by chasers. I think it's the most competitive field of 8 we've seen. They have a tremendous amount of wins, a lot of wins at this racetrack specifically, so I expect that the win will come out of those 8 drivers.
Yeah, I think the disadvantage of these guys, if you think about Martin Truex Jr., Keselowski, Chase Elliott, I know he hasn't won a race yet, but he's been knocking on the door a lot. Those guys have race-winning speed. The question is, do they have race-winning intensity? Can they match the intensity of a guy that's trying to win a championship? And that not only goes for the driver, but for the team. It's a huge letdown. It takes everything in your soul to bring 100% after getting knocked out in championship round. So can they bring the intensity that's needed to win the race?
The other, when you mentioned intensity, it was very intense at Talladega. The battle between Dillon and Hamlin, who will advance into the round of 8? It ended up being a tie. We have seen that before as far as point standings. But the reason it ended up being a tie was because of incredibly close racing right up until the finish line. Denny Hamlin was able to stay in front of the 41 of Kurt Busch by 6/1000ths of a second when they got to the start-finish line. That was a point that Denny Hamlin was able to gain on Austin Dillon to give him the tie. That's how close it was between the 3 and the 11 and who would advance into the championship round of 8.
You know, we talk about races being 500 miles, and the things happened in that last 500 yards that made a difference. And Denny Hamlin just did a really, really good job. He kind of got himself in trouble. We were watching it, Steve, and he made a move off turn 4, and we both went, oh no, that was the wrong thing to do. And then he rebounded, made a left in front of Kevin Harvick. Harvick lifted. Had he not lifted, I still say it would have been an unbelievable wreck. Harvick lifted a little bit, let him in, and then and on top of that, the 11 of Denny Hamlin did a really good job of side drafting the 41 to get himself pulled back in front. So got himself in trouble off turn 4, but did a really good job of rebounding.
And with half car length between the 43 of Eric Almirola and the 3 of Austin Dillon, that could have been the other point that would have put Austin Dillon into the round of 8. Gordon is fastest at Martinsville.